Signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. Item number 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. There are no consent agenda items for this evening's meeting. Public and administrative presentations. There is one public presentation this evening, that being a presentation by our engineering partner, Englobe Corp, on the topic of Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program final report for the community of Hillsborough. The folks from Englobe are not here yet. They're on their way, as I understand it. So when they arrive, we'll just allow them the time to do their presentation when they arrive. So we will move on for the time being to item number 7, which is reports and recommendations from committees and private meeting. So at the committee of the whole meeting on May 21st, Deputy Mayor Arrow indicated that he would provide a report at this regular meeting. So Deputy Mayor Arrow, the floor is yours.
Very good. So the Water and Sewer Ad Hoc Committee, or the Water and Sewer Bylaw Consolidation Ad Hoc Committee of Council met for the first time on May 15, 6 p.m. in Alma. The membership of that committee includes 14 members, Councillor Elderkin and myself, and Mayor Rochon, who appears as an ex officio member. We have 2 members from each of the communities that have a water and wastewater system. So from Hillsborough, there's 2. Riverside-Albert, there's 2. And Alma, there's 2. And their Englobe is represented as well by 2 folks. The meetings are open to the public. So the first meeting we had was open to the public, although there was no public engagement per se. It's a meeting of the council to come together and ultimately make recommendations and provide advice to us as the council on how best to consolidate the bylaws and perhaps propose a new rate structure. So that's coming. So we intend to meet approximately every month until our work is done. It will take a number of months. And the next meeting is scheduled for June 19 at 6 p.m. at the Steve's house in Hillsborough. And the purpose of our second meeting is exclusively to receive a report, not a report, but information from Englobe on the subject of metering. So this is going to address the costs of purchasing metering, installing metering, reading metering, maintaining metering, and the pros and cons of a meter-based system for a water and wastewater system. So we look forward to that meeting, and I'll provide an update of that one at the next council meeting after that.
Great, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any questions for Deputy Mayor Arrow? There being none, thank you. Thank you for your update. We'll proceed to item number 8, which is reports from administration, and there are no reports from administration for this regular meeting. Item number 9, which is bylaws, there are no bylaws to present. Item number 10, Mayor and Councillor statements. So I'll begin with Councillor Land. Councillor Land, if you would.
Thank you, Mayor Rochon. Just a couple of things quick. I had a citizen reach out to me about the Steve Street in Hillsborough where the playground is. A lot of speeding, dirt bikes, and he was wondering if it's possible to put speed bumps in there to kind of slow that traffic down. We were there 2 or 3 weeks ago having that thing for Letter Street Express, and we had some issue with dirt bikes and stuff, but anyways, they went away. But this gentleman was very adamant about speed bumps because he had young people playing at the playground, and he wanted to know if council would entertain the idea of putting them there. So I told him I'd bring it to council and see what everybody had to say.
We can perhaps have that added to our committee of the whole discussion, where our Public Works Director of Operations can provide some advice on that.
Okay. One other thing, the Hillbilly Run was very successful, I guess. They had some very big turnout, good numbers. One negative thing from it was there was some few black marks in the village of Hillsborough after, which I kind of disagree with. It's nice to have a run and people have fun, but I don't think they need to be, what do you call it? it's bad when people drive through Taurus and see all the stuff, right? It's a negative rather than a positive, so anyways, I just want to bring that up, so whoever it may be, or whatever the case may be, maybe next time it won't happen. Anyways, that's good information. Very good.
Thank you, Councillor Land. Councillor Elderton.
Yeah, just a couple things for me. Since we last met, I've attended the spring tea at Caledonia Trails Day here in Riverside-Albert, and I attended the AGM for the Bennett Foundation. And just to reiterate, there's lots of great work happening in Fundy Albert by many different organizations and volunteers. One question I did have from a constituent, actually a couple, the unsightly premises bylaw. Is it on our website if they wanted to see it? It is on our website? Okay, perfect. That's it for me.
Great, thank you. And the unsightly and dangerous premises bylaw that we have essentially mirrors all the sections that are found in the local governance act.
Correct.
Right. We'll go to Deputy Mayor Arrow.
Thank you. I got a few here. Under inquiries or questions, I can use this as a question session. This one would be for our clerk, Ms. Sabrin. If I understand correctly, the Alma Emergency Shelter standby power system. So the new standby power system at the activity center is operational. Is that correct? How is that system opened and engaged with the alternate emergency power? Is that requiring intervention by some of our staff, or are we planning on training members of the community to open the system and get the standby power going, and in the event that that is needed for real?
I was under the impression that when the power goes off, it automatically comes on, but I'll confirm that and get back to you.
Because if that's the case, because I wondered that myself, I'm not sure that that's actually what's necessary, because normally that building would be not really occupied. It's not like a home, where normally at a home, if the power goes out, you have an automatic start and away you go. I'm not sure that that's really the best thing, but I think the protocols on that, we need to figure out what we're doing and actually even communicate that to the community once we know, so we're ready. At a previous council meeting, I had indicated that I was very much looking forward to that we had the budget put on the website. And in fact, the budget is on our website as a public document. And I had indicated at that time that the budget that's there is not actually broken down into subunits. There wasn't a commitment either way on that, but I noticed yesterday that it's still not the version of our budget that's broken down into subunits. And this has become problematic, I think, for some of our residents who keep asking me questions about whether or how monies were allocated during our 2024 budget process. So I really think that what we put up there, we need to break it out into subunits so we can now see which expenses are shared and which ones are local and what are those, so people know. So I think that's actually important. The next one is we are thankful that we have the temporary water link with Fundy National Park. Are you able, Ms. Sabrin, to provide an update of how everything is kind of going now that we've got our temporary link? Is there all our sort of concerns? I realize conservation still is an operative word for our community. It's important, but are things?
Yes, everything is,
That's good.
Both systems are working well. The water is being tested as it should be. There's been no issues. The Alma Reservoir has been right up to the top and replenished every evening like it's
So
supposed
this
to.
is really good.
Again, conservation is still important. You know, the wells only fill to a certain capacity in a certain amount of time. So as the busy tourist season comes about, we still like to see that conservation, but we don't anticipate any difficulties or any water orders at this.
That's great. I'm very happy to hear that. I shared with members of council the recent Fundy National Park newsletter. I'm not sure if you had a chance to read it. It's quite informative. For the public, the good news is that Fundy National Park seems to be thriving in terms of visitorship, and there's many activities, and it's, oh, I know what I did want to do. There was a thank you in that. I think it's even worth reading this, if you allow me a break. This is a statement that was in this newsletter from Ms. Julie LeBlanc, who is the superintendent of Fundy National Park. Every year, the Fundy region shines as an exceptional maritime destination, offering tourists opportunities to appreciate the area's stunning natural and cultural treasures. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our neighboring communities and businesses for their support, which enriches the travel experiences enjoyed by the visitors. You truly make a difference in creating vibrant and sustainable communities around Fundy National Park. Thank you for your continued collaboration and support. I wish you a fantastic and prosperous summer. I think I was very impressed to hear that. I'm almost done. There is an emerging issue in Alma and perhaps in all of Fundy Albert, and it's the issue of food trucks. Food trucks are basically permitted in a community unless they're not permitted. And the way you would control or regulate a food truck would be through a dedicated bylaw, which none of our previous communities had, to my knowledge. Perhaps Hillsborough did. I'm not aware of that. Alma did not. I don't think Riverside-Albert did. So it's possible we may see food trucks in the future in our community, and I think it's a contentious issue. So we may hear more on that. So it's interesting. I did a little bit of research in other communities that do have regulated food trucks. A good example would be, say, Ottawa. They have a bylaw that addresses things like the proximity of the food truck to other businesses and restaurants and other points of interest or importance in a community. There's elements in the bylaw about garbage and litter. There's elements in there about the use of generators or the prohibition of the use of generators. This kind of thing. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Jonah.
Just to touch on something that Councillor Arrow was just speaking of, the food trucks. There is one that comes into Hillsborough about once a month, and they plunk themselves right in the way of all the kids that are walking from school down that would usually go to one of the local restaurants. And the local restaurants definitely feel a hurt when they're in town. They know. And so there's, I agree with John, or Councillor Arrow, might be something that we need to take a look at. We definitely don't want, our towns or villages inundated with food trucks and hurts our businesses that are currently there and have been there and paying taxes. So I definitely agree with Councillor Earl on that. I had a couple citizens reach out to me with concerns of the potential sale of land on Steve Street. They're a little concerned that with that area being a bit of a tourist area in the Hillsborough area, that it might not be such a great thing depending on what is going to be going there. And that piece of parcel of land that we're looking at selling. What they would like to see is after a tender, that, and we find out who's bought it, that there's some kind of something that goes out to the citizens to let them know what could be there. And then we have some kind of let the citizens have their say on this before they're very concerned about something very, very industrial being put right in the middle of a place that's really our tourist area. So I told them I'd bring that to council and go from there.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coates.
Oh, not a lot. On the May 28th, I attended the library board meeting, and they've requested from the government for an additional librarian, and seems quite favorable on the letters we've got. They've already started renovations, and I believe they've provided kind of a budget or a request from the CAO. And, but they're quite happy with what's going on. Next, the bylaw for ATV using roads and streets on hold because they have not confirmed yet the location that they want to do the three-season trail from Hillsborough to Alma. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. So I have a couple of things. At the last Southeast Regional Service Commission meeting that I attended in the month of May, we had two meetings. There was the annual general meeting for the commission and also the regular meeting for the month of May. And during the regular meeting, we were provided with a number of documents. One in which is the annual report for the Southeast Regional Service Commission. The other one is a report from Richard Saillant, who is an economist, a very renowned economist who talks about housing requirements for the general area for the foreseeable future, probably into 10 years. The report is available for anyone to see. I know the annual report is going to be published on the Southeast Regional Service Commission's new website, which is due to be launched this week. That annual report will be on their website, and it's chock full of information about the various programs and mandated services, the new mandated services that they offer. They also provide some financial information, including all the payments that are made to any board members and so on. So that information is it will be all on the website. I do have an English and a French version of the report. So if anyone, member of council, until that's published, if they want to see what's in there, by all means, just reach out to me and I'll make sure that you have a copy available for your review. I do also have an update on the Golf Club Road culvert. So on May 2nd, 2024, we received confirmation that the replacement of the collapsed culvert on the Golf Club Road at Graybrook would be eligible for reimbursement through the Provincial Disaster Relief Funding Program. The preliminary estimate provided to NB Emergency Measures Organization identified the cost as being approximately $760,000 for the replacement of the culvert. That includes upsizing the culvert from an 1,800 millimeter culvert to a 2,400 millimeter culvert. And for some of us older folks, that means from 6 feet to about 8 feet. And it also includes, instead of a corrugated steel, it would be replaced with I believe, a concrete box culvert, which would last a whole lot longer. So all that information has been received and has been provided. The estimate has been provided to NBEMO. And so at the council meeting on May 14th, council approved the development of a design and tender of the culvert replacement by Englobe Engineering in anticipation of us being approved for that work to be done. Englobe is currently working on that material, the design and the tender documents. I confirmed that with them today. When prepared, Englobe will be posting the tender package for bids, and approval of council will be required prior to awarding an overall tender. So right now, council has approved to a maximum of $50,000 for that design work and tender, and we signed some documents this afternoon. The estimate for the engineering work to prepare all that material is $25,000. So we are proceeding with that. What we did not want to have happen is wait until we got a firm approval by the province, and then we've lost a whole bunch of that time. We want to be out there, get the tenders in. And so when we get the confirmation that it's going to be covered by the disaster relief funding program, then we're in a position to get the work started right away. And to protect the area and the public, Fundy Albert has installed concrete protective barriers. In recent days, someone has been moving the barriers in what appears to be an effort to open a path along Golf Club Road. On several occasions, the barriers were put back by the municipality, by our Public Works Department, only to be moved again by the culprits. This is very dangerous, and it's actually criminal in nature. So for that reason, and to protect the municipality from a liable situation, the CAO has called the RCMP to report this. And since then, no further problems have occurred. And quite honestly, it bothers me that someone in the community would be so reckless as to do that. And it's a problem. And as councillors, as a council, we should not stand for that. We understand that this is frustrating for everyone. Trust me, I understand it. I hear about it a lot. That said, we ask for everyone's patience and allow us to have the culvert repaired correctly. That's all I have on the culvert at Greybrook, unless someone from council has a question of it.
Yeah, one question. Have you heard anything back from as far as funding or where we're at with that, or we?
That's what I mentioned is we've got tentative approval to that, yes,
Tentative, but not
not firm,
firm.
not firm. I'm still waiting for that and I contact them fairly regularly.
Okay.
So Route 114 at Greybrook is another matter. So at a previous council meeting, I reported that we had met with representatives of DTI where we were informed that work previously slated for completion in 2024 on Route 114 at Greybrook in Hillsborough would be delayed until 2025. With council's approval, letters were sent to the Ministers of Transportation and Infrastructure and Public Safety to request a meeting to convey our concerns. And I provided members of council with copies of those letters. I'm now looking for council's permission to post copies of these letters on the Fundy Albert social media page to inform the public that we are expressing our concerns over the continued delays. This would ensure that the public, that we're being transparent with the public, and also that the public knows that we are doing something about it. We're not just sitting, waiting for next year. I sincerely have some concerns over the delays. I've expressed those concerns to the ministers. I have not received a response, and I have asked for a meeting to discuss our concerns. So does council have any concern with those letters being published on our social media page?
My only concern is it should be on the website as well.
Councillor Jonah, you're okay with that?
I'm very good with it.
Councillor Coates?
Good with it.
Councillor Land?
Yeah, no issue.
Councillor Alderson?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor.
They'll be posted tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much. And on our website as well. Thank you very much. I suspect when that happens, it might garner some media attention, which is fine. Okay. Any questions on the Route 114 culvert situation? No? I believe our guests have just walked in, so I'll stop right there. I'll ask our clerk to invite them in and they can start their presentation.
Same thing, on 9/10, Friday night I went up, and it was, the boards were up there, road closed. Sunday, there were spread parts, and the road closed sign was, I don't know, somebody's got it in the camp, I imagine by now.
It's a cat and mouse game.
And there's about a 70-foot drop off the road, and it's very narrow.
Right.
Show me it in the film and then we went. How to get a glasses.
And that will bring us to the end of item number 10, which is mayor and councillor statements. And we will kind of backtrack. Come on in, please. Welcome.
Thank you. This is Pedro. Hello.
So you can come up, whoever's going to be doing the presentation can actually come up to the podium if you'd like.
Check their key, like wake it back or something.
Oh, here it comes.
I think it's good.
There you go.
I just knew that.
But it says it'll be turned up in 3 seconds.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay,
It's just, any buttons, I just press the button and turn it off and turn it back on again.
turn it off and we'll turn it back on. It'll be okay.
Beautifully paper dry.
Cooperating.
I can't see these glasses.
Might have to go through the order process.
Yeah. So.
It's working for me.
You can let go.
It's working fine.
Mm-hmm.
Turned it on the first time.
I did. I did just too many words.
There it is.
Coming on. We're good. Thank you. So as a matter of introduction, these folks are from Englobe Corp, and they're here to give us a presentation on the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Municipal Asset Management Program final report for the community of Hillsborough.
That's correct.
Correct.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen.
Can we do these lights, see the screen better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah. It's the light switch just to the right of the door, Kim.
Introduce myself. My name is Genevieve McIntyre. I work for Englobe Corp. I'm a signal team lead, working with Pierre Plouffe. Some of you may know Pierre Plouffe. He's my director. This is Mathilde. She's the manager for the asset management project. My team is in charge of the program itself. I direct the program. We developed tools for municipalities that are as inexpensive as we can have them, but still provide the result that we need to. Because we need to respond to the needs to each municipality, and each municipalities, and it's different around New Brunswick, the needs. Each municipalities are in different sizes and are at different stage with their asset management. So today we're here to present the results of our last report update we did. We did phase 1 in 2018, and today we're here to present you phase 2. We'll talk to you guys about what we have included in phase 2 that wasn't part of phase 1. The console, how much everybody is familiar with asset management? Are you familiar with the last report?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. Just
And some
so,
of us know,
Yes, correct.
okay.
so some of us know.
Okay, so tonight, because I don't want to take an hour and a half, there's a lot in there. I'm going to go high level to show you the big line. What's asset management, what's in there, and what are the results at high level. If you guys feel, Mr. Mayor and Linda, that we want a separate meeting to go further in detail and talk about it more, it will be a pleasure to come and discuss with you again, okay? Because yeah, we could go. There's a lot of technical aspect into all of this. Our agenda for this evening will have a short introduction. I'll explain again the high-level components of asset management, which include the inventory, the state of the infrastructure, criticality of the infrastructure, all the priorities, financial planning, level of service, the preliminary capital spending, and the conclusion and recommendations. Again, we're going in high level, so we could, at the demand, we can come back and discuss further. And skip. So asset management, oh, this is small here. Okay. So asset management strategy framework. On the right side, that's the framework established by the province. We follow the province guideline. Everybody in New Brunswick follow the province guideline. We have done phase 2 prior the government actually formalizing the framework for phase 2, because they did let everybody know what phase 2 is supposed to include, so that we could apply for funding and get ahead and get, use that funding that was available at that time. Why do we do asset management? Knowledge management and succession planning, identify the gap and the needs for the municipalities, have dynamic tools for use, transfer knowledge to the municipal staff and meet the provincial requirements. Transfer knowledge to the municipal staff. So we need to have a record of what we own, where it's located, what's the size of this pipe, when was it installed, because, early in the days, as-built were not what they are today. It was Mr. X that worked for a municipality for 60 years that knew that, oh, this pipe was installed in blah, 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 this size, and it's in somebody's head. So when we did bring together all of the information about the inventory of all the assets that a municipality owned, we had documents on papers, right? We had a lot of that, but we also had, for all the gaps in the information we didn't have, conversation with staff members to try to fill those gaps, when certain things were installed and constructed, etc. The asset management include the governance statements and policies. So it includes, you need to establish how do we implement asset management and what we are currently doing, who's going to do what, how we're going to keep up with all of this. So we establish a policy. So in the report, we suggest a policy for the municipalities' reviews and adjustments, because it's different for every municipalities. There's the asset inventory. So that's what I've discussed about. So we gather all the plans, as-bills, everything that the municipality knows about their asset, and we try to fill the gaps. There then comes the risk assessment. So what happens, the risk assessment include the condition. We evaluate the condition of the assets. And there's also the criticality, which include how important is an asset to the municipality and what's the climate impact or risk on those assets. We'll discuss further more about it in the next slide. Then with this risk assessment, we identify what's our priorities, where do we need to put our spendings to make sure we have assets that are maintaining good condition to deliver good services to our municipality. We have, of course, the financial planning. The level of service is a new item that we developed in our phase 2. We have the capital spending, and how do we monitor our asset management. So those are all, it's the asset management strategy framework. There's a lot into this, okay? I'm trying to make it short. For us, we're in this every day. Introduction. So over here, what asset does the municipality use to provide services? They have their road, their water, the wastewater, stormwater facility, vehicle, and miscellaneous. Based on their replacement value, the town owns approximately $47 million in assets. And here we see how it divides in these different types of assets. Okay. These 4 ones here, road, water, wastewater, stormwater, we categorize them as linear assets, and facility and vehicle and miscellaneous, well, they are by their own. Inventory. So A significant addition occurred around 1970 and 2000 when the village added their sanitary and water system when they were constructed. So we see the peak around these years. Linda, thank you. So condition. So we evaluated the condition of each of the asset types. And the condition is mostly based on age and on the inspection completed in 2018. When we do the inspections, we evaluate what the condition is, and we use that factor to override what the system gives us as a condition. I'll explain a little bit here. The condition is based on age, okay, when it was installed. It gives us a percentage and it gives us a rank of where it is. However, a system, even if it shows you that it's in bad condition due to its age, need to be inspected to see in which condition it actually is. Some will last longer, depending on its environment, some less longer, some had really good maintenance, some had less maintenance. So of course, if you put more money into maintaining an asset, it can live longer, right? So thinking about those things is very important. So in our system, we have a condition based on age. You do your inspection and you can adjust the condition of your asset in the system. So those adjustments have been done based on the inspections done in 2018 and based on some inspections done by the municipality lately, especially in regards to facilities. Okay, correct? Any questions about conditions? Good. The criticality of the infrastructure. So it includes two factors. It includes the importance and the climate change. The importance is based on different categories. And we have a grid that has been produced and is our guide to give scores. When it's regarding the importance, it's done. So we have different rating according to each asset. I don't see very well on the. So, so you have your roads. And it will have a rating depending on the category of roads. Of course, if it's a highway or an NVDTI road, it will be a very high. However, if it's like a driveway will be less important compared to local. This is our scoring grade. All the pipe network are based on size. The bigger it's the pipe, the more critical it is. Eventually, it could create more damage. When it comes to facility and vehicle, it depends on the category. A protective service, of course, will be more critical to a village, more important, or municipality, and recreational and cultural services perhaps will be very low. And we see the in-betweens, okay? Then we have the impact to climate change, and we have a scoring system giving us either, is it in French? Yeah. It's very low to very high. Oh no, there's only one that wasn't okay. And these scores are established using flooding maps and evaluating all the climate impact that the municipality could have. And based on calculation, it's provided a score. I'm not going to go in detail, but the most visual one is, of course, the flooding, because we see the flood, okay? We do modeling and evaluation, and we'll create different scenarios. We'll give us different flooding scenarios, and that's how we can look at how flooding can impact different assets, roads, or any pipe network system. So our criticality is it's the multiplier of two factors, the importance and the climate risk, as discussed. The key findings, let's discuss this. Highest importance assets were found to be vehicle, protective service, and fire depth. High-level risk areas were identified on Great Island Road and Golf Club Road. 33% of assets were found to have a high or very high criticality by value. You have anything to add, Martin, in regards to this?
Not particularly.
To those findings? No. Thank you. So, as I explained a little bit earlier, the idea here is to take our inventory and do a risk assessment. And you take your inventory and you apply a factor, the condition results, and you multiply by the criticality, the importance and the climate risk together. Okay, and it helps you prioritize which asset needs attention. So it's gonna give you, you can skip Linda, it's fine, thank you. It's gonna give you a score based on all those factors. How critical it is, this asset for a municipality, the impact of climate change on it. Those factors are very important, and not only looking at the condition, because there's asset that may be in very poor condition, but are not really a priority for the village. So the system, all the calculations that are done are based on the criteria established to give you priority scores that make sense for the municipality. And the municipality can look at all the assets that had a higher priority score and, see what's going on, what caused those assets to be at a high on the priority list. Maybe, I don't know, a fire truck is very old and by age it needs to be changed, and it has a priority score that's almost to 25. Well, go inspect the truck and see what's going on. Does it really need to be changed? It costs a lot of money, a fire truck. You want to be ahead of the game, those type of things. I'm using a simple example over here. So that's what the priority gives us. All those calculations that are done give us our list of priorities. And those priorities are captured in a information analysis system as simple as we call it our Excel tool. We created an Excel sheet that calculates all of those factors that we put in and gives us a priority list. For municipalities, use easier to filter information. I'm not showing all of this tonight, but I believe, Linda, you're familiar with it. That's right. So that's the priority table. I'm just going to explain a little bit here. So here is the criticality is the severity of the failure, very high or very low, and the likelihood of failure, and it gives us a category of priorities. So your priority score, again, as we discussed, is your condition, multiply your criticality. Criticality is the climate change and the importance mixed together to see how critical this asset is to the municipality. That's very important because in the past, asset management was mainly this component. But based on the municipality's employees' knowledge, some of this was applied, but there was no technical backup to support the municipal staff when it comes to this. Now you have the data to support, to multiply with the condition, because this, based on age and how old all municipal staff could figure that out. Here are your top 10 priorities based on the results. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mathilde. This is only based on the result or conversation with the municipality as well.
We had also a conversation with the municipality, so they did see these priorities before.
Okay. I can go through quickly. We have either a 1 to 10 or 1 storm. So our asset type is a storm, culvert close to 2,871 Main Street, another storm pipe outfall close to lift station number 1 in Gray Island Road due to be changed. Wastewater sanitary pipe from lift station, wastewater, another sanitary pipe, another force main. So a lot of wastewater, potable water. Okay, the water pipe from, okay, another section of water pipe that needs some attention here. Wastewater, sanitary pipe, again, sanitary pipe, a bunch of sanitary, okay, it's all your storm and wastewater need a lot of attention and a little bit of the water system based on our top 10. But no, municipality can go further and look at us as well. We look at all the other priorities. The score ranging from 15.4 low to 13.1. Next, Linda. So here is an example of what you can see on the mapping system that we provided the village with. It's called QGIS. So it's a visual tool that we can look at and see where everything is located. So it gives us, this is the road system, if I'm correct. Yeah. And it's our road system, and we can see with this using the same colors. What's the priority from low to high? Orange would be your higher. I don't see any reds.
I don't know.
So it's very useful. So the municipality has this tool. So for each of the linear assets, which are all the roads and the pipe network system, water, storm, and sewer, they can click on a different pipe section and see all the information, perhaps when it was installed, the type of material, the size, and it will give them as well the priority score based on all the information entered in the system. So all of that information is onto the QGIS. Yeah. And those are files that we can share among ourselves. If the municipality want to share back the file with us and we can make updates and give it back to you, it's easy to do. Financial planning. So I talked about all the technical portion. There's a lot of work that goes into that. As well as the financial planning. Why it's important to know what's going on with asset management. There's a lot of financial planning part of it. Financial planning, average annual capital spending was estimated at approximately $249,000. The final financial planning was based on all historical expense. From the last, what year, Lexon?
I think it was since 2014, if I remember well.
2014, it was all captured. Okay, just you can come back, it's fine. So we base these numbers on all historical spending. Ms. Valley shared that with us, so we can provide some recommendation and look at the financial planning side part of asset management. The recap value is estimated at $1,000,000.2 $1,000. Annual operating and maintenance spending is $232,000. Yeah, and you can see per type where the money went. Okay, it's not too bad. We see a lot of municipality, and you may feel that we're not doing super good. Maybe it will look like that, but it is. The municipality is doing a good job, I do believe. I'll see. To understand what the recap value is, the total replacement value of an asset divided by the expected lifetime of that asset yield an annual value for the replacement of the asset. Financial planning. The town infrastructure backlog was calculated at $5.4 million. Almost 80% of this backlog is related to potable water, sanitary water, and the storm water. You can switch, Linda. Okay. Financial planning. The overall spending gap was therefore calculated as $960,000, and the largest gap is potable water with an annual deficit of $271,000. So what it does, it's based on the value of your assets, what we should be spending annually and what we're actually spending. Matilda, can you confirm if this include any project that would have all been funded by funding program?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Okay, thank you. I see this, it's not that bad. We've seen lower than that. It's challenging. It's a lot of effort to find money for the project. The budgets are tight, so with all the new obligation, hopefully it will help a lot. That's what we hear from municipalities, so it's encouraging. And also, the government is working hard on providing funding program. They're a lot of work, but they're worth it. Next, long term, the 50-year projection was complete. So if you were to replace with no maintenance and no maintenance on any asset, to replace continuously your assets based on their lifetime, this would be the amount of money you would be spending yearly per type. You can see per type, they're identified by colors to give an idea. But how do we minimize those peaks? That's what here we're trying to show and get away from. It's maintenance program. So when you have your asset management plan in place, you know what's going on, you try to be proactive. The other step is to include maintenance in there, and I know the municipalities are working hard with their staff to have maintenance program as much as they can in place. The level of service is something that was added to our management program this year, part of phase 2 with the government. Why do we need to measure the level of service? It's important to meet the needs of the resident efficiently and effectively. The level of service, LOS, is a metric allowing us to measure the performance of the municipality assets. What is the level of service? A level of service expresses the quality at which the municipality provide or would like to provide to its residents and business owners. The scale used to evaluate level of service are based on school grades. So we use this grading. We are all very familiar with it. So that's the idea here. It's to understand how the municipality is doing and where we would like to be, and then evaluate how can we get there, etc. It's another tool they can use. We can move, yeah. There's a lot into it. I'm gonna glance a bit over it, but I think it's still, in terms of how we present, it's straightforward because it's all, it's a scale we're used to see. How do we evaluate the level of service? The performance indicators are used to identify and measure the state of an asset, and it's related to a level of service. So that we have the technical and the funding LOS. How are we doing technically and how we're doing on the financial side? And the technical side is evaluate the asset technical performance based on its priority scores. We looked at the priority scores, which was obtained through the condition and criticality, as I was mentioning multiple times. And the funding evaluates the asset funding performance based on historical. So what we've seen in the previous slides, it's evaluated on the historical capital reinvestment. So over here, this is per type of asset. That's what we want to see. How are we doing, Genevieve? So technical is over here. We're doing good. Financial is here. Finance is a hard part. I know how a struggle and municipality works hard. And this gives you your overall grade, but if you just see the overall grade, we don't like it. When you see what's really going on, it helps. This is good. Why it's good? Maybe we just look at a time slot on the financial side. If we would look furthermore, maybe we would see something different. You guys been doing something good because this shows to be good, right? So it gives us on that the timeline we evaluate roughly what's our current service level. So it's important to understand where it comes from. So we see those results, and it's for the municipality and the staff to work with, right? To give them where we want to be, how can we do that? And we can evaluate furthermore other data for sure. So the level of service, the target, the target level of service has been established as a grade C plus. For us, if a municipality is doing a C plus, they're offering an acceptable service to their municipalities. But some municipalities may have different needs on different type of assets. Some have a lot of roads, some have more facilities. It depends what they are about. The key question, where are you currently? Where would you like to be? What are the required investments to reach the target NOS and maintain the current level of service? Where would we like to be in 5 years, in 10 years? So it just helps the staff to plan. Next. So, whew. Part of all of that exercise, evaluating all the data, the level of service, considering the condition, the importance, the climate change, all of those things, we made some recommendation. For us, I always tell to my team, we take the data and we say, what is our recommendation based on the results only. We are not the municipality. The municipality is to take those recommendations and part of their planning process. So when you do budgeting yearly, something you're like, okay, what do we got in asset management? Because municipalities don't only have asset management, they have other things they need to look at when they budget. So this is a portion for the municipality to have a tool to have when they do their planning. So these are the projects we captured from the results. So we have the storm sewer replacement on Main Street, the storm water infiltration study, sanitary sewer replacement on Main Street. There was storm issues we could see replacement required, so a study would be recommended first so we can decide better where we should put our money. Cross culvert replacement on Main Street, sanitary sewer replacement, easement, roadway improvement. So those were the projects that came out and recommended, and where the money's gonna come from to do those capital projects. Those budgets were established based on all the historic financial information we have and all on the funding source we know are available at the moment. Conclusion and recommendation: continue to improve and update the data in the program. It's very important. Establish a protocol for continued condition assessment asset. Again, all those inspections yearly, and make sure to update the database when a capital project is done, because if you renew an asset, it's important to update in your tool. Develop a proactive maintenance plan for assets. Determine a reasonable budget for the maintenance and rehabilitation of assets. Complete a more detailed review of current spending versus target spending. As we see, what should we spend and what are we spending, including a review of utility rates and property taxation. There appears to be a historical underinvestment in potable water infrastructure. Monitor the evaluation of the level of service to make a better decision. Review and adopt policy on asset management included in the report. Pursue funding opportunities for project. Review the 10-year plan at least annually at a budgeting time. Establish a plan for updating, renewing the asset management plan moving forward. As I mentioned, the municipality staff already had some training about the provided tool. We have our Excel file, which is a data analysis tool, and we have our GIS database. You see an image here. It's a program used, a map system program used to own all the asset data, the inventory information. So it's very important. It's always updated, because what we do is we extract the information from the system and we import in the Excel tool, and then it analyzes all the data based on all the factors we talked about. Question, this is a 1 year project in 30 minutes. So I try to keep it high level. Hopefully some of it makes sense.
We'll turn the lights back on.
We,
So thank you very much for the presentation, Genevieve and Mathilde. I guess we can see if any of the councilors have any questions. Councilor Errol?
Yeah, I have two questions, actually. The first one is just a background question. This is a study for Hillsborough, financed and said at the beginning on the first slide, I think, by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and the province of New Brunswick. Do we know, and maybe this is for us, do we know whether there are any other portions of Fundy Albert that have had this kind of thing done?
Not currently, but we're in discussions because Alma and Riverside-Albert both have previous asset management plans that would be able to be imported into this. So it wouldn't be up to date data, but we're going to try to get it imported in, and then we'd have the ability to update it as we could. So all the information's in one place and we'd be able to analyze it on a larger scale for all of Fundy Albert.
So how did the funding for this come about? Was that you did, was it?
Before
It was likely applied for before amalgamation.
absolutely, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
So prior to 2021.
yes.
So my second question is a technical question.
Yeah.
And you actually, you missed the first part of our council meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, but to me, there's a disconnect here between reality and what I'm seeing here.
Okay.
And, the best example is slides 10, 11, and 22, which is where you're showing kind of pictorially and on tabular form, the most critical, or priority areas for Hillsborough. So if we just go to slide maybe.
The priority list, the 10 projects?
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe slide 10 or 11, I think. This one's
there,
good.
yeah.
So in fact, Hillsborough actually has had a major failure of its infrastructure a couple months ago. This would be the Golf Club Road failure, the culvert. And that's not even on the list. And so this was, at the time this failed and continuing now, this council and the people that are advising this council and our first responders are saying that this is a major issue. And yet it's not even on this list. Not sure why. So if you go to slide 22 for a minute, which is where you were estimating the costs of the kinds of things that you showed there. So, we see a cross culvert on Main Street of 100,000. This particular culvert that failed, that's not even on the list, we have estimates now from Englobe of 765 or 760,000 for that cross culvert replacement. So there seems to be a disconnect to me, which I'm not looking really for an answer now, but
No, well,
there's something not, it's not providing to us the areas that already are failing and causing us quite a bit of grief and a huge amount of money. So I will study this. It's very interesting. I think that this is exactly the kind of thing that the community needs. And for moving forward, obviously, as a former engineer myself, I understand the importance of this. So thank you. But I would urge you to maybe work with our administration to figure that out. My last question is for us. And the question is, Genevieve was talking about how these tools that they've created, I think it was almost maybe your last slide or second to last slide, have been provided to the municipality. And clearly there's an element where it's the municipality really needs to manage these. Who has been assigned that?
So myself and the director of operations have done I want to say a quick training session. It is very in-depth, but we certainly went through it, and it's fascinating, and it's gonna be, I think, a fantastic tool for us for sure. So we have, it would be us then that manages that. And I want to just go back to your first point, is there was a cutoff at some point for the information to get into this report, right? So it is only as good as the updates will be, so it's up to us then to keep updating it. I'm not sure when the cutoff, again, this was all pre me getting here, but the cutoff may, well, golf club should have been on there somewhere still, I think, but anyway, we'd have to look back and see.
Yeah.
Just, we're gonna have to tweak it a little. It's a living document. It's all we can look, right? Yeah.
And where's that culvert? We can ask that the office.
Golf Club Road,
Golf club.
Golf Club Road near the golf course. Appropriately named.
But we'll see if there's other questions.
We can do it.
Yeah. Any other questions, Councillor Jonah, Councillor Coates?
No, good.
Councillor Ladd,
No, that's fine.
Councillor Alderkin?
I just have a couple of questions. Under miscellaneous,
Yes.
what falls under there that doesn't get captured somewhere else?
Tractor.
Because
lawn
we're very good
equipment.
at it.
It's everything that doesn't fall in the other categories,
Okay.
perhaps, even your park structures.
Yeah.
Any park structures, tractors, some municipalities has a lot of Christmas decoration, perhaps, that's
Okay.
actually stored somewhere and worth a lot of money. So all those miscellaneous items,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. And just one more question. Under facilities, does that include the rink and the pool? Or would it just be the municipal office and the library and
We have the rink and the pool.
the
Exactly,
rink and the pool fall under that?
Find the details in the.
in the facility section, yeah. Which page? Around page 25, it lists all the facility included.
Okay,
So everything above ground, that's not miscellaneous. Yes,
thank you.
good question, thank you.
Thank you. And from my perspective, like, I understand the importance of asset management and the impacts of not paying attention to asset management and not investing in the assets, not only in maintenance, but in renewal of these assets. And it is our responsibility as a municipal government to ensure that we make the proper investments. The tendency has always been, and I think I can speak openly on this, the tendency has always been on trying to provide the best level of service for the lowest cost to the taxpayer. We do that at the peril of not paying enough attention to our infrastructure, not renewing our infrastructure, and then allowing it to slowly decay over time. That's something that our council, when we look at this, are going to need to really reflect on and say, there's the important element of trying to maintain a cap on spending, but there's an obligation on the part of the municipal government to invest in the assets that we currently have.
Absolutely.
There's the assets that we currently have, but we're always maybe wanting to add assets, but we got to understand that when we add an asset, you have to look after that asset,
Yeah.
the impact that those assets
On
have.
the
So-
overall
So,
services,
you
yeah.
know, like, I'm really seeing some red flags there on stormwater, potable waters and stormwater
Yeah.
are not potable water and stormwater. Potable water and wastewater are
Yep.
two critical components of infrastructure that we desperately need to pay attention to.
Mhm.
Because those are the two areas where we're gonna get into trouble really quick. So I'm pleased to see that on the technical side of
Yes.
things, we seem to be doing okay. It's on the funding
Funding,
side of
yes.
things,
You'll
I
see the
think that,
impact later of the
That's right.
technical when, yeah,
right. So
correct.
I get a lot out of that presentation,
Good.
and for me personally, I'd like to know more. I'd like to know more, and maybe through our administration,
Yeah.
any interested councillors can get that information, but
Absolutely.
we also need to worry about the municipality. Because we're talking about municipal infrastructure, we also need to worry about Riverside-Albert and Alma
Absolutely.
as well. So we need to kind of, whatever we do, we need to make sure
Encompass all
that
of
we
that.
encompass
Yeah.
all of that together, because
Yeah.
we're now amalgamated.
Okay,
So it's no longer just about Hillsborough, it's about
Yeah.
Hillsborough, Riverside, Albert, and Alma.
And to respond to that, there's a lot of municipalities that are currently in your boat that we did all the sector and we're blending everything together for them now, because
Yeah.
exactly, they need to look at everything, yeah.
So thank you very much
You're
for your
welcome. Thank
presentation, and thank you for you know, maybe a little bit of confusion on the game here, but that's okay. You made it. You
Yeah.
delivered your presentation,
Thank you.
and I very much appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
You're more than welcome to sit and watch, or you can get back in your car and head straight to mountain. I'm sure you might want to be someplace else. All right. Well, thank you. Now, see if I can find where we were at. Get my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. If I can get them out of my pocket. There we go. So that was, had all been done, the mayor and councillor statements. So we are now on item number 11, which is notices of motions and resolutions. The first notice or motion is to dissolve the Hillsborough Rec Council. I would need someone to read that motion for us.
I will.
Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Whereas the existence of an independently elected council has not been in place in many years, and the current governance structure of the Hillsborough Recreation Council has proven to be a de facto arm of the municipality, and whereas the municipality cannot be considered a not-for-profit organization, and whereas the dissolution of the Hillsborough Rec Council would allow for transparency in Riverside-Albert financial management practices and pave the way for the creation of a new recreational council. Therefore, be it resolved that the municipal council formally close or transfer ownership of the Canadian Revenue Agency business account number 858392111RP0001 and cease to use the Hillsborough Rec Council as a conduit for grant applications. Further, the municipal council shall engage with relevant stakeholders, including those interested in resurrecting the recreational council in Hillsborough in the future.
So moved by Deputy Mayor Arrow. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Elderkin. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Arrow, Deputy Mayor Arrow, you're first.
No, I think it's straightforward. So it's to really dissolve the involvement or the linkage between the Hillsborough Rec Council and the municipal government of Riverside-Albert. The Rec Council could be reconstituted or transferred to some other third party or nonprofit organization independent of the municipal government. So I am in support of that.
Councillor Elderkin, any?
No comment.
Okay, anyone else?
Just wondering what has to be done to transfer this, as there is a group that's now coming up, the rec council, is it, what you answered me today, is it, is all, yeah?
And so the difficulties with it is that CRA won't give you any information unless your name is on the account.
Right.
And none of our names are on the account. I believe Sherry
So
Casper.
if we can get Sherry to
If we
do
can have
that,
a
then we can
conversation.
transfer everything over to the new group that's.
So the first step would be to reach out to her to
Yeah.
ask her to call them. And if she's not on that, then I think we're at a loss. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess she is, so, okay, then after that, we get her to do her part, then we can look at.
Yeah, I think she
transferring.
just has to add names onto it and
Okay.
then eventually her name can come up.
Perfect. Right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Actually, I'm sorry I should have said it the first time. There was one other matter is recently, I think we had a motion at one previous council meeting where we transferred some money.
Correct.
And if I recall correctly, some of that money may have been, the literacy express money is not part of my question. I understand that money is literacy express money and it finds its way there. But the other monies that were in there, what was the origin of those monies and where did they go? I tell you, I'm asking this question because I received a comment or a concern from a resident in Hillsborough wondering whether any monies that might have been in the bank account for the Hillsborough Rec Council, because remember, we recently did close that bank account. Were those monies raised for the purposes of recreation in Hillsborough? And because if they were, the comment that I received is maybe those monies should really be directed to that kind of purpose. I couldn't remember what we did with those monies.
So there's two parts to that. The first is the bank account was closed because the original bank account was under the name of Hillsborough, and we needed to close that account and open a new one under the name of Fundy Albert. So that was done. And then at the last meeting, we then drained the last of the funds out of the Hillsborough Rec Council to be used for Canada Day celebrations in Hillsborough, which would have been the same intent that the money would have been in that account for anyway. So
Okay.
there is really a zero balance on that, but there is money available for Canada Day celebrations, which was part of it.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Not ready for the question? All in favor of the motion as presented signify by stating aye.
I
Opposed, if any? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. The next motion is a motion concerning the Fundy Albert Rural Plan. Would somebody be willing to read that motion, please? Councillor Elderkin?
Whereas Fundy Albert Village Council is considering the adoption of a rural plan bylaw 2024-07 in order to consolidate the former rural plans for the village of Alma, the village of Riverside-Albert, the village of Hillsborough, and the Westmoreland-Albert planning area. Be it resolved, a public hearing to consider objections to the proposed bylaw be scheduled for Thursday, July 25th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at the Hillsborough Community Center. And Rural Plan Bylaw 2024-07 be referred to the Southeast Planning Review and Adjustment Committee for its written views.
So moved by Councillor Elderkin and seconded by Councillor Land. Any discussion on the motion?
No, I think there's a lot of community members that I think are looking forward to seeing what's in this new bylaw because it's new.
Mhm.
And, I think there's a lot of people that are anticipating the review of it.
Okay. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Arrow.
My question is that if this motion that we're about to perhaps do passes, when would the rural plan and the zoning maps that are associated with it be put onto our website? Immediately or not till there's some timeline before the public meeting that it happens?
So it could be immediately, but the recommendation is 21 days in advance of the public hearing. So they'll be posted on our Facebook page and social media, and that's considered acceptable under the legislation. And it would be 21 days, and the public viewing meeting then would be the conclusion of.
I believe it can be more than
It can be
21.
more, yeah.
The minimum
Is 20.
allowable is 21 days.
We do have a timeline of events and when it needs to be posted, when it's going to the PRAC, when the public hearing is, and then the August 4th or 6th, I keep getting the date wrong. The first meeting in August for the council is when the first reading would happen for that bylaw.
Any further questions? Not. All in favor of the motion as presented signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 11C, which is a community grants application. So there were two community grants that have been submitted. One from Chipotle Communities Revitalization Committee for the relocation of a lighthouse, and the other a request to cover costs associated with summer music events in the community of Hillsborough. I believe it's under July and August. Motions are required in order to consider either of these requests. The one, I believe, for the CCRC initiative, they're requesting $4,000. The other one, which is for the community music events in July and August in Hillsborough, is for $3,600. So that's a total of $7,600, and there is, I believe, slightly more than $10,000 remaining in the community grants. But in order to consider that, there needs to be a request, a motion. Yes, Councillor Leonard.
Can these two be done separately or
Yes, they can.
could we do that?
they need a motion.
Okay, I'll make that motion for the Village Vibes in Hillsborough, that we accept this proposal and that we grant them the $3,600 for the summer festivals from July 6th to August 31st. Hillsborough.
So moved by Councillor Land. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Jonah. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor, Deputy Mayor Arrow.
My question is that, like, we did go through recently, actually, they got delayed a bit. We went through our main tranche of applications. We had a deadline that was maybe in March, I can't remember.
Correct.
This was to deal with the 80%. And during that, all of the applications came in that are much like what we have before us. Those were reviewed by our administration, Ms. Sabarin and her staff, or some of her staff. And there were recommendations made to us as council. I think in some cases there were even adjustments made to the actual ask as part of what was being recommended. Did that happen here?
The original requests that came in for the community grants program were, it was just a list as is. We didn't make any changes. There was a couple of tweaks because there was some conversations around Canada Day, but for the most part, everybody else that asked for whatever they asked for funding, it was accepted. And then the 20% that was left over has to last us from now till the end of December to carry over any individuals or any not-for-profits that wanted to have some funding available to them for the rest of the year. For the 2025 year, applications will be accepted in August, part of the budget process in the fall, and then only 20% would be available coming into 2025. So these just came in after the original deadline for the community grants program.
Okay, so maybe I misunderstood then that there were no recommendations from administration on the last one. It was just that's what you got.
It was the list of everybody that had applied and what the amounts.
Any other comments or questions?
I just have one
Councillor Elderson.
Sorry.
Yes.
It says this organization or group is a non-for-profit, what is the name of the non-for-profit group?
So the group that's putting on the event is Hope Wellness, and they're putting it on in the East Gazebo, is that what it's called?
East Park.
East Park, I apologize, in Hillsborough, and they are doing it as so they're not charging for it and they're not making a profit off of it. This is just a request to help offset some of the cost.
Okay, so it should be noted, they're not a non-for-profit group. They're just a group.
They are a business
Right.
who's doing a not-for-profit event.
Correct. Any other comments or questions? Ready for the question? All in favor of the motion to approve the $3,600 grant request for summer vibes? Signify by stating aye.
Aye.
So noted that Councillor Jonah and Land voted aye. Opposed, if any? Councillor Elderkin votes against, Councillor Arrow against, and Councillor Coates against. So the motion is defeated. Thank you. Any other motions on these two requests?
I would like to make a motion that we support the Shepparton Community Revitalization Committee in the amount of $2,500.
So moved by Councillor Elderkin. Is there a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Coates. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Elderkin?
Yeah, I would like to just to reiterate that the Shepparton Community Revitalization Committee, they do give back a lot to various events and organizations in the community. And I think this is probably one of the first times they've asked for some assistance. They are working on a project of the Route 114 and 915, the corner in here in Riverside-Albert, and I think we should support them.
Okay, Councillor Coates, any comments, questions?
No, I think it's a good idea.
Councillor, any others? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but CCRC had applied for grants in the first slice of grant applications. in the
So
entire
I
list?
believe it is for an in-kind, because I believe in.
An in-kind company?
Yeah.
Okay, so no monetary value. Okay. So, ready for the question? All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
And that's Counselor Elderkin and Counselor Coates, anyone else? And Counselor Arrow and Counselor Jonah. Opposed, if any? Counselor Land?
Yeah, I'll oppose it. We're supposed to be equal in this community. We just turn,
So you vote nay.
I will.
So yeah, noted that Counselor Land voted nay. The motion's carried. So thank you very much. The next one is a letter of support, Mental Health Trauma and Addiction Healing Center. Motion is required to authorize the mayor to issue a letter of support in relation to the creation of a mental health trauma and addiction healing center in southeast New Brunswick. I would require a motion for that, please.
I'll read that, Mayor.
Go ahead, Counselor.
I move that the Council of Village of Fundy-Albert authorizes the mayor to prepare a letter to support in relation to Lynn LeBlanc's request to the province of New Brunswick for the creation of a mental health trauma and addiction healing center in southeast New Brunswick.
So moved by Counselor Land. Is there a seconder on that motion? Deputy Mayor Arrow? Any discussion on the motion? Counselor Land?
Oh, I think it's a great idea. That, we need more of this in our societies to, look after people that have trouble.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Arrow?
And just for background, for those who might have missed it, there was a presentation made by this individual at our last committee of the whole meeting, and this is the follow-on from their request to us.
Correct.
I'm supportive of it.
Okay. Ready for the question? All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Motion is carried unanimously. Item 11E, motion to engage a consultant to prepare a formal response on liquidated damages. Somebody would be prepared to read that?
Whereas it has come to the attention of Fundy-Albert that Sussex Excavators has breached the terms of a contract awarded on April 24th, 2023, specifically relating to additional time and cost for extra work and or slower production. And whereas the said breach has resulted in a substantial impact on the project's timeline and financial planning. And whereas Fundy-Albert wishes to enforce the liquid damages clause as stipulated in the contract to mitigate the losses incurred. Now therefore be it resolved that Fundy-Albert shall engage the services of EXP Municipal Engineering, a consultant assigned to the management of the project, to prepare a formal response to Sussex Excavators. Be it resolved that the consultant will provide the formal response within 14 days of engagement, ensuring that it is comprehensive, legally sound, and clearly communicates Fundy-Albert's position on the matter.
So moved by Councillor Elderkin, seconded by Councillor Land. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Elderkin?
Yeah, there's a couple things for me. Is there a fee for EXP for this service that we're engaging?
It should be, it is the last of the project conclusion, so that it's included in their scope.
It's already included, so there won't be an additional bill for it. And the other question I had was legal. Are they saying legally sound? Are we not consulting our own legal for this, or are we using their opinion that it's been legally verified?
We were using theirs as the contractor responsible for the project, but if you wish that it be reviewed legally on our side, we can make arrangements to have that.
The alternative is to have the letter prepared, send the letter to Sussex Excavation and have them respond. And then at that point, you bring legal advice into the equation.
So the idea of this motion is just to formalize that EXP is going to prepare the letter for us?
Correct. And that our position is that there are liquidated damages as a result of them not adhering to the contract.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Arrow?
Yes, it's in the last two paragraphs of the motion, it's referring to EXP preparing a formal response. And the last paragraph is to make sure that the formal response is prepared within 14 days. The word response seems inappropriate to me in this motion. I don't think we're responding, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe we're responding to anything other than a situation. And in fact, what we're asking them to do is prepare a claim.
They are responding to EXP's position that there should be no liquidated damages. They have written to EXP with that, stating that there should be none. Oh, Sussex Excavation, sorry.
Right. I
Have written to EXP, and EXP has brought their recommendation to us. Now it's us going to EXP and saying our request is for them to respond.
and say that we really are invoking this clause.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that clarify your question, Deputy Mayor? Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of the motion as presented, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 11F, an amendment to a motion of the disposition of land. There was a motion required to amend the motion that was adopted by council on May 14th in relation to the manner in which the local government would dispose of land declared surplus. It requires a motion prior to any discussion. If someone wishes to read that, please.
Whereas the original motion titled "Motion regarding this disposition of land" was passed on May 14th, 2024. And whereas it has been identified that certain aspects of the original motion require modification to better serve the interests of the owner. Now therefore be it resolved that the original motion be amended as follows. Clause number 2, the nature and term of the disposition shall be as follows. Disposition type request for proposal of original motion shall be amended to read. Disposition type real estate agent, and that the CAO be approved to engage in contract with Nick Dunfield of Keller Williams Capital Realty to negotiate the terms of sale on behalf of Bundy Albert, provided that the final terms of the sale shall not be binding until approved by council. Be it further resolved that this amendment shall take effect immediately upon passage of this motion.
So moved by Councillor Jonah. Is there a seconder on that motion? There's no seconder on the motion dies on the floor. Thank you very much. Item number 12, public comments and statements. This is an opportunity for members of the public to make comments or statements. Anyone wishes to say something? Yes, Mrs. Trumbull. Yes.
Thank you to council, public works, Christian, Jeff, everybody else, the extra pea gravel at the playground. So excited to see that right off the get-go. We finally got a number back for the playground, and we were all actually a little bit shocked because it was way lower than we thought it was going to be, just in once. So it is $242,190. So because it is way lower than we initially anticipated, when school had started discussing, including some equipment for the middle school as well. We figure at this point, if we're raising funds for such a substantial amount, what's an extra $20,000 in the pot at this point? We did price out swings for them, $7,500. So figure maybe another piece to go with that for them. We do have our fun fair coming up on the 9th. So this coming Sunday, we would like to thank council for the in-kind use of the picnic tables and the garbage bins. I believe Jody updated us yesterday. We will make sure that everything's cleaned and picked up when we're done as well. We do have another event coming up in July or August, a re-pronged, kind of more of an adult fundraiser, still for the kids in the playground. And then we also have a monthly raffle launching. It is done through the Gaming Commission of New Brunswick. It's done through Waffle Box, so everything's above board. My question is that something that council can share on their Facebook page, like our QR code for the raffle, or you guys Is that off limits?
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. My gut instinct is
Get
it's
back
off
to
limits,
Jody
but
as
I don't
well.
want to say that without confirming, so I'll.
Yeah, no, I know that one was kind of questionable. So I'm still going to attend meetings because I've learned so much since I have attended. But if I don't have an update, I'm not going to say anything. But I just wanted to say that knowing that council is standing behind us, I think it kind of gave everybody that extra kind of push we needed. So as of Sunday, we're launching. And then I'm taking a step back from the planning aspect to help look at grants and start collecting that way, because I know it's ambitious, but we want to try to have this done in 2 years. Like all the money raised in 2 years, so we can start the installation of the playground. So it's an ambitious goal, but that is our goal. So I just wanted to say thank you, because I know you guys don't get as much thanks as you should, so we thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mrs. Tremblay. Yes, Mr. Warner.
Regarding the Alma and Riverside-Albert and Hillsborough rural plans. I was on the Alma Rural Planning Committee years ago. Lesson learned, the 21 days when the municipality adheres to that, it puts cramp in everybody. Yeah, putting all the stuff out in more, with more time is best. We're busy this summer with vacations, getting the work done that needed to be done during the winter, but we couldn't get it done because it was winter. So summer is a very busy season. A lot of us volunteer for a number of things. And so time constraints being what they are, give us more time to look at this larger plan. Please.
Thank you. Okay. So noted. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Woodward.
14 there, Garrett Creek Road. It's about 30 feet there, although the highway is the water below the road. And really, it's a terrible, terrible mess right now. So we're putting an half feet in different places. And I'm concerned, not necessarily with the long wait, I'm just concerned about a vehicle going in. I'm on the weekend, huge tourist vehicles are going, if two of the feet there at the same time, somebody might be in trouble. The only thing is, even the pylons are gone that were there. There were 3 there for a while. They're all gone. I don't know whether somebody stole them, whether government took them to another place worse than that. But anyhow, I think the pylon should go back. I did make a call to someone in government today. They are going to take some pictures. And the word is that maybe they'll try to get something done about that. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
And whether they will or not, but I think the pylons need to go back wherever they are.
Well, that would be something we would have to approach DTI about, because the municipality can't be putting pylons on Route 114, nor we also need to be cautious about trying to do something about the damage that is there, because then we are responsible for the repair that's done. And if something happens, then there's the possible liability that falls on the municipality. I applaud you for reaching out to the government. What I would add to that is, I think once we post those letters on social media, they will get attention. And I have no doubt that I'll be contacted by the media wanting to speak about it. And I'll be more than glad to say what I have to say.
I agree with that, but I'm concerned with that vehicle going in that hole.
I understand, sir.
Someone's going to get hurt. And then everybody will say, why wasn't something done? That's my concern. Only my other concern, Plenty National Park. I wouldn't say much tonight. I have written to them. I've asked for a response from the superintendent, from the next person in charge. They are not sympathetic to any ideas, whatever, which might improve things for seniors. It's not on their radar.
Mhm.
I will bring a letter to the next meeting and read that letter to them that have written twice over 3 years. They sent a great survey last year. Maybe you all saw it. Maybe you responded to it. I asked for a personal response. Absolutely nothing 3 years ago, and absolutely nothing last year. I just remember, because I'm too old. I remember what it was like, used to be like. That's my problem, and everybody's problem is my age. Younger generation, they just don't know what it's like.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yes, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, if I could offer to that, sir, that in fact, we do meet, we meaning myself as the council liaison for Fundy National Park, and Mayor Rochon and our chief administrative officer do meet periodically with the park management team. And I would request that you share your concerns with us so we can, where we do often show up with a long list of things, and I'm happy to try and raise it through personal contact. When we don't actually have a meeting scheduled, but there'll be one at some point.
Great. Good. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else? Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, real quick, and it just jogged my head. Everybody, so Councillor Land mentioned that it's supposed to be equal, and that it's not picking on Councillor Land. That was just jogged my thoughts. The amalgamation is a funny thing, and I'm glad everyone's thinking about we're all supposed to be equal and that kind of thing. I think that's fantastic. But we're a very large geographic area, and I think just because something good happens to one part and it didn't happen to the others, that's okay. If something, if we're doing something for Harvey, it doesn't mean that that's against Hillsborough or it's against Elmore. If we do something for Elm that's not against Riverside-Albert, I think we're a very large geographic area, and we're gonna have to start wrapping our head around equal. Yes, we're one large entity, but just because it happens in one place doesn't mean it has to happen everywhere.
We try to be mindful.
I know,
More and more.
more and more.
Yes. Mr. Warnock?
Coming out of the the Riverside-Albert Clinic today, going downhill towards 114, there's no stop sign. And the other day, I didn't notice it. I just thought it was a crazy driver, but somebody came down that hill, didn't even bother to stop, went right onto the 114 with a car coming down 114. And I think it's going to be an accident there.
I
I
wonder if
appreciate
that's,
you bringing that forward. It's a very, very bad intersection because they're flying coming down Forestdale Road. The health and wellness center's there. The stop sign needs to be fixed. I would agree.
is that one of the stop signs that you had mentioned earlier?
Yes.
Okay, and it was probably removed when they did all the repairs,
No,
maybe, or it
I
just
think it was
disappeared?
removed in error by DTI during the plowing season, is my understanding, is what it was confirmed by our operations manager at the committee of the whole. But that is one major stop sign, so I appreciate you bringing it forward.
Thank you. You, Councillor Coates?
Hello, Sean. I believe that stop sign is I saw it last Friday. And you took it's in the yard.
Actually, that one was the stop sign that was run over by a plow at the end of Steve Street. That was done this winter, but I believe it's been replaced. They broke the
There
pole
was one
at the Public Works garage.
the first out.
I know there was one, and I brought it to administration's attention.
There was one that said Forestdale.
Oh, did it say Forestdale? I think they're talking about the stop sign.
It's a stop sign, but it would have
It
had
would have had
Forestdale Road's, street sign on it as well.
Okay, so we'll get that looked at. All right. Anyone else? If not, we do have some closed session items, so I would thank everyone for coming. I will need a motion from council to move into closed session. So moved by Councillor Land, seconded by Councillor Coates. All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, if any, motions carried unanimously. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending, and have a great evening.